On January 29, 2025, an American Eagle passenger jet and a United States Army Black Hawk helicopter converged at 300 feet over the Potomac River. 67 people died in an accident that federal records prove was preventable. The collision was set in motion 12 years before either aircraft ever took off, the results of a documented safety gap that went unaddressed for over a decade. Back in May of 2013, in the exact same airspace, an air traffic controller accidentally turned a military helicopter directly into the path of a commercial airliner. Both aircraft swerved, and both landed safely. This map shows Reagan National Airport's airspace. The military helicopter path, Route 4, crosses just 15 feet vertically from runway 33's commercial approach. Controllers filed safety reports about this exact intersection, explicitly requesting chart warnings. Those requests were denied on procedural grounds. For 12 years, warning reports were filed away, but the physical flight paths remained unchanged. When a commercial aircraft crash, it is rarely due to a random stroke of bad luck. These disasters are the final, fatal result of a long, documented paper trail of ignored warnings. By the early 2010s, Boeing was losing ground to Airbus and its fuel-efficient A320neo. To compete, Boeing needed to fit larger, more efficient engines onto their existing 737 airframe. The new engines were too large for the old 737 design, forcing engineers to mount them further forward and higher off the ground. This shift in aerodynamics caused the nose to pitch upward dangerously during steep climbs. Rather than pursue a multi-billion-dollar airframe redesign, Boeing chose a software solution, Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, thousands of lines of code designed to automatically push the nose back down. Engineers linked this powerful software to a single sensor on the outside of the plane. If that sensor malfunctioned or took a bird strike, MCAS would activate with no secondary data source to verify if the aircraft was actually stalling. Under a federal program called ODA, Boeing essentially certified its own work. They removed mentions of MCAS from pilot manuals to avoid the cost of simulator training, a primary selling point for the MAX that ultimately left pilots unaware the system even existed. In late 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 crashed into the Java Sea. Just 3 days later, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed near Addis Ababa. Black box data showed the same fatal sequence in both. A faulty sensor triggered MCAS, forcing the nose down repeatedly, while the crews fought an unwinnable battle against their own airplane. 346 people died because Boeing leadership prioritized production speed and training savings over aeronautical engineering. A business calculation to minimize simulator time effectively overrode the safety of the entire 737 MAX fleet. This pattern of institutional silence extends right down to the concrete we pave our runways with. On the morning of December 29, 2024, Jeju Air Flight 2216 approached South Korea's Muon International Airport. Following a mechanical failure, the Boeing 737 touched down without its landing gear. The fuselage scraped the concrete at high speed as the crew fought to stop the aircraft before the end of the runway. High-speed belly landings are dangerous, but they are also highly survivable. This one should have been, but the aircraft overran the runway and slammed directly into a 4-meter-high concrete wall. International safety standards require airport infrastructure to be frangible. Structures like navigation antennas must be designed to break apart upon impact to absorb energy. You do not build solid concrete blocks at the end of a runway. Airport operators were aware of the danger. Their own operating manual from May 2024 noted that the concrete structure was dangerously close and non-compliant. The recommended review was never completed. 7 to 9 people perished in the resulting fire. Government simulations later confirmed that every person on board would have survived the landing if the airport had followed international frangibility standards. The disasters that reach the front page are just the visible tip of a massive hidden iceberg. For every high-profile crash, there are thousands of close calls that go unreported by the mainstream press. The NTSB investigates roughly 1,200 aviation incidents a year in the US alone. Beyond that, pilots and air traffic controllers file tens of thousands of voluntary safety reports detailing near mid-air collisions and runway incursions. There is a massive gap between logging a warning and actually spending the money to fix the problem. Our systems are excellent at identifying hazards, but the process frequently bottlenecks before any corrective action is taken. Modern commercial aviation remains the safest form of mass transportation. Statistically, the probability of dying on a commercial flight is roughly 1 in 11 million. But that safety record is not a default state of engineering. It is a fragile environment that requires constant active maintenance and honest oversight. When those pillars erode, the margin between a safe landing and a catastrophe vanishes. Every major crash has a paper trail that exists long before the impact. The final threat to passenger safety is the institutional choice to ignore those warnings and stay silent.